It is Friday, October 11th, 2019. It is 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and so you know what time it is. It's time for a little bit of coin metal. And it was a very tiring, get your ass kicked at Jiu-Jitsu Friday. We did a lot of takedowns, a little bit of positional sparring, some standing to submission sparring, and yeah, I got submitted a lot today. But, you know, these days happen. You know, occasionally you just have one of those times when it's just not together. And this last week has just been like that for me. You know, I did a 5 o'clock class, and when I say 5 o'clock, I mean 5 a.m. class last week with 10th Planet. Man, and it seems like ever since then I've just been like a half step behind. You know, it's like it took that much out of me. I'm still kind of sore from it, as a matter of fact. But yeah, so I had a lot of trouble putting it all together today, and that's no excuse, of course, but at the same time, you know, it's just an acknowledgement that there's never a time when we're always going to be 100%. You know, you can always have those little flits of 100%ness, but you know, it's been especially divergent from that as of late. Like I said, it's just been working my ass off trying to get shit squared away with some other stuff, and so, you know, my brain hasn't been like 100% on jiu-jitsu when I'm there. And you know, jiu-jitsu, it is all about being present in the moment, you know. And so it's like, if you're not able to do that, you know, if you're having a little bit of trouble getting your brain together and get your braining on, yeah, it can be troublesome. And so today was kind of like that, you know. I just got my ass handed to myself by pretty much everybody. But I don't know, maybe next week I'll be able to redeem myself. But you know, I got a whole shit ton of work to do, and if that gets done, then, you know, or it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when that's done, I'm going to be a hell of a lot more relieved, I'll tell you that much. But yeah, so we did some takedown stuff, and I liked the drilling that we were doing today, because we started off with just pummeling, and then we transitioned to pummeling and takedown setups. And then from there to, of course, takedowns. And I've always said that's one of my big weak points right now, is just working on my takedown defense and staying up, and more importantly, setting up my own takedowns. And I mean, I had a short period of time there when, you know, for whatever reason, I don't know what it was, I was just getting a lot of takedowns. And this one, I'll never forget it, because what I did was, and I even kind of envisioned doing it beforehand, is I started with my hands up towards his chest and whatnot, and like grabbing on his collar and shit, and then I put my hands down on his hips, and I kept my left arm straight, and I was pushing out on his right hip. And so as soon as he brought his left foot forward, I scooped it up with my right foot and swept him. And just swept him right on over. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, so that's what we did today. Got my ass kicked. A lot. And I mean, just like all over the place. And the guy that I was rolling with last, the thing that bugs me about him is that he pretty much tells me, not verbally or whatnot, but from the way he's gripping me, that his desire is to choke me, and that's it. That's all he's going to do. He's not going to do like arm bars or whatnot. He wants to choke me, and so, you know, I'm going to start addressing him like that from now on. Because like that's how he always starts. He just grabs for the collar, you know, and I want to make that like be the way that I make him pay. You know what I mean? And when I say pay, I just mean, to where I get him in like an armbar or something like that. Or at least, be the way that I address him. It's like, because it's obvious that's how he wants to address me. So it's like, I've got to use that in my defense against him, and also try to use it in a way that that will help me get my own like takedowns and shit. So like, I'm thinking something along the lines of, and take my, like, if he has me with his left hand, has my collar with his left hand, to grab his elbow from the inside and pull down on it until I've broke his posture, and then like maybe grab his lapel and maybe throw him or something. I don't know. I'm gonna have to work on it. Something to work on. At least, I got some idea at the moment. I guess it's something that, I wish that I had recorded it. I keep coming back to this, that I one of these days I'm going to do it. I'm going to get a goddamn GoPro, and I'm just going to set it up and make sure that it can see the whole room, and that way I don't have to worry about the position I'm in or whatever, and try and record everything that I do. Because I feel like if I were to address it in retrospect, I'd be able to see some of the habits that I'm falling into, that I need to get out of, that aren't really helping my game any, Anyway, let's go ahead and throw down into some music. And of course, I haven't picked anything out yet, but it's going to be body count. I mean, that's just how we roll here. But as far as the first dance goes, let's go with a little bit of Bloodlust here on Coin Metal.
Since the beginning of time, humans have killed each other.
And that was Dope with Survive. Yeah, that's one of those bands. I'm not entirely certain what they're doing at the moment, although I do know that they have a live Twitter account, so they may in fact be on tour at the moment. Although, I think, and I'm not 100% sure on this, I think I'll be seeing Edsel Dope on sometime in December, filling in for Wayne Static. Static X is going to be playing up in Portland, and I am going to be there. Hopefully I have somebody that's going to be going with me, if he doesn't take a shit and fuck up and all that. But I'm sure I'll find somebody else that'll want that ticket in the event that he doesn't want to go. Because Static X is a really good band, and, we're not going to go there. Anyway, as far as what we're going to get into today, some interesting stuff here. And it's funny, I don't have my Twitter account, and it kind of sucks. But at the same time, it's caused me to get a little better and a little more flexible. And anyway, yeah, so let's see here. I got a couple articles. Not there. I'm not sure how I want to go about this one. Because, the fact of the matter is that cryptocurrencies are entirely permissionless. And so, the fact that we entertain the SEC and their supposed mandates and whatnot, it's laudable, that people are that considerate and whatnot, but it is entirely optional. The fact of the matter is that the entire crypto market could completely disregard the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, and they might at some point do some sort of enforcement action against somebody, but it's actually cheaper to completely ignore them at this point than it is to comply with them, because their regulatory regimes are entirely too onerous for the 21st century. The fact of the matter is that the old way of keeping records on everything and whatnot, it might have been really fun for somebody's entertainment and whatnot, but what it really does is it endangers every single user of every single thing that is attached with these accounts. It's one of the reasons why I refuse to add my phone number to anything that I do not need to. And, more importantly, it's not one that's actually connected to my bank account. Because the fact of the matter is that, dude, we read articles at least once a week on this show about some massive hack, and millions of motherfucking people out there get their shit compromised because, some third party with a customer service group that does not give a shit, is not related to the mother corporation at all, does not suffer any real punitive damage, or real like, how should I say this? Any real consequence for violating people's fucking security. And so, again, we would be better off completely ignoring them. And this is another reason why. Here it is. It's on Coindesk.com. SEC halts Telegram's $1.7 billion unlawful token issuance. Who the fuck is the SEC to tell Telegram that they can't fucking issue tokens? Go fuck themselves. Anyway, continuing on. This is by Nicholas D. So yes, penis. This is authored October 11th, 2019 at 21:08 UTC. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission secured an emergency restraining order against the Telegram Group and its subsidiary Ton issuer for their $1.7 billion token sale. The SEC announced late Friday that it filed for and received an emergency action and restraining order halting Telegram from selling or otherwise distributing its Gram tokens within the U.S. The network was supposed to go live on October 31st. Telegram sold 2.9 billion Gram tokens, quote, at discount prices to 171 initial purchasers worldwide, the release said. This included more than 1 billion grams sold to U.S. investors. However, the complaint alleges that Telegram did not register its offer or sale. Who gives a fuck if they did? Yeah, fuck you. SEC Division of Enforcement Co-Director Stephanie Avakian said in a statement that the emergency action is, quote, intended to prevent Telegram from making any money. From flooding the U.S. markets with digital tokens that we allege were unlawfully sold. Who the fuck are you? Who the fuck are you to say what's lawful and unlawful with regard to a token sale? I believe that's completely dependent upon the people that are involved in it. And if the SEC is not involved in it integrally, then they're not the issuer of the token and they're not the recipient of the money, then go fuck themselves. Anyway, continuing on. Telegram failed to provide its investors with information about the Gram token and Telegram's own operations, she said. Yeah, too fucking bad. Anyway, continuing. Quote, we have repeatedly stated that such issuers cannot avoid the federal securities laws just by labeling their product a cryptocurrency or a digital token. Telegram seeks to obtain the benefits of a public offering without complying with the long-established disclosure responsibilities designed to protect the investing public. No, it isn't. It's just designed to enrich the SEC. We see repeatedly, regardless of the disclosures to the public, where the really big institutional investors and whatnot completely fuck off with people's money. Okay, continuing on. Long-term project. Telegram has been developing its Ton blockchain project for well over a year, with rumors of its initial coin offering circulating in January of 2018. Sources familiar with the project later told Coindesk that the messaging platform was looking to raise up to $600 million in a pre-sale and another $700 million through a public offering. You know what? I could fix this Telegram shit. Anyway, continuing. Ultimately, Telegram claimed to raise $1.7 billion in a Form D disclosure filed with the SEC in March 2018. Yeah, that was your fucking problem, Telegram. You should have just ignored the SEC. Continuing, the company has been secretive about its development work, only publishing code for the network last month. Telegram did not even publicly confirm it was working on TON until this month, after it first emailed investors to confirm its late October launch and then updated its terms and conditions. Despite the fact that the Gram token is not yet live, a secondary market for the cryptocurrency has already exploded, with small crypto exchanges and OTC desks trading promises for tokens once they are issued. Crypto exchange Coinbase has also announced custody support for Gram tokens once they are issued. The SEC's emergency action Friday comes days after it settled with Block 1, the company behind the EOSIO project and EOS token. While Block 1 raised $4 billion, the SEC only secured a $24 million fine and will not require Block 1 to register EOS as a security. Telegram could not be immediately reached for comment. It should be kind of obvious what's going on here. The SEC is just coming at Telegram, point a fucking gun at him and say, hey, we're going to take you to court unless you give us some fucking money. It's fucking shakedown. I think that Telegram, if they were really smart, they would have just completely ignored the SEC. And with regard to their token offering or issuance, they did it all wrong, I think. If it's just an ERC20 token, I think they did it all wrong. And as a matter of fact, let's check and verify on that and see. Telegram announced Telegram, come on, circulating rumors of its initial coin offering circulating in 2018. Filed with the SEC, late October launch, terms and conditions, trading promises for tokens, only secured $24 million fine. I'm trying to figure out exactly what type of token Telegram is. Telegram finally confirms it's behind TON blockchain. Apparently this is authored on October 8th, 2019, and it is by Anna Baydakova. So no penis. October 8th, 2019. Yeah, let's get into this one. After raising $1.7 billion last year and maintaining almost complete radio silence since, messaging app Telegram is finally going public with its involvement with the Telegram Open Network. TON. The first mention of TON and its native Gram tokens appeared on Telegram's official website Tuesday morning in the form of a terms and service for the token's wallet app. Okay, here, hold on. According to the terms of service, Telegram will integrate the wallet into the company's flagship messaging app and also offer it as a standalone product. Quote, we have no control over the TON blockchain network and therefore cannot ensure that any transaction details that you submit via the services will be validated and confirmed on the TON blockchain, the document reads. Let's get into the document itself. Let's see here. This is Gram's wallet. Terms of service. This is last updated on October 8th, 2019, and it's on telegram.org. These terms of service terms govern your use of the Gram's wallet, whether as a standalone application or as incorporated into the Telegram Messenger application. These services offered by Telegram FC-LLC, we, us, or our. By using the services, you acknowledge that you have read, understand, and agree to be bound by these terms. If you do not agree with these terms, you may not use the services. Number 1, eligibility. You represent and warrant to us that A, you are an individual at least 18 years of age or older and have the capacity to enter into these terms, and B, you shall not use the services if you are prohibited by any applicable law, regulation, or rule from doing so, including those relating to embargoes, sanctioned countries, and sanctioned individuals. Yeah, fuck you. Okay. Modification. We reserve the right in our sole discretion to modify these terms at any time and in our sole discretion. If we change these terms, we will post the revised terms here, and such changes will be effective immediately upon posting. You should therefore periodically review these terms when accessing or using the services. Each use of the services constitutes your agreement to be bound by and comply with the then current terms. If at any time you no longer agree to be bound by or comply with these terms, then you should stop accessing and using these services. 3. Compliance with law. You agree to use the services only for lawful purposes and in compliance with all applicable laws. 4. Use of services. 4.1. Credentials. We do not access or store your public or private keys, backup phrases, or passwords, or other identifying information about you. You are solely responsible for managing and maintaining the security of your credentials. If you lose your credentials, we do not have the ability to recover your credentials or assist you in retrieving your credentials, and you may not be able to access your grams. Please note that we do not collect any personal information about you through your use of the services. I like that. 4.2. Termination. We reserve the right to close, terminate, or disable any or all services, your user account, or your access to the services at any time and for any reason. I don't like that very much. 4.3. Transactions. In order to be completed, any gram transaction created using the services must be validated and recorded in the TON blockchain ledger. We have no control over the TON blockchain network and therefore cannot ensure that any transaction details that you submit via the services will be validated and confirmed on the TON blockchain. The transactions you submit via the services may not be completed or may be substantially delayed by the TON blockchain. We have no control over the TON blockchain and do not have the ability to facilitate any cancellation or modification requests to transactions you have submitted. A fee may be imposed on your transaction by the TON blockchain. We have no control over the amount or the type of such fees. 5. No warranties. Oh, and this is all in bold. Your use of the services is at your own risk. The services are provided on an as-is and as-available basis without any warranties of any kind, either express or implied. We do not make, and we hereby disclaim any warranty or representation with respect to the completeness, security, reliability, quality, accuracy, and availability of merchantability, fitness for a particular purpose, or non-infringement of the services. Without limiting the foregoing, we do not represent or warrant that the services will be accurate, continuous, error-free, uninterrupted, or timely, or that the services are free of viruses or other harmful components, or that the services will otherwise meet your needs or expectations. Some jurisdictions do not allow exclusion of warranties or limitations on the duration of implied warranties, so the above disclosure or disclaimer may not apply to you in its entirety, but will apply to the maximum extent permitted by applicable law. Obligations under these terms are for the benefit of you only, and not for the benefit of any other person. 6. Limitation of liability. And this too also is in bold. To the maximum extent permitted by the law in no event will Telegram nor any person associated with Telegram be liable for A. Any damages greater than $10 or B. Any loss of use, lost grams or other currencies, lost data, failure of security mechanisms, interpretation of business, or any indirect, special, incidental, or consequential damages of any kind, including lost profits, regardless of the form of action, whether in contract, tort, including negligence, strict liability, or otherwise, even if informed of the possibility of such damages in advance. Notwithstanding any other provision of these terms, neither Telegram nor any person associated with Telegram shall have any liability under these terms. 7. Indemnity. You agree to indemnify and hold us and our affiliates, directors, officers, and employees from any and all claims, damages, losses, costs, or expenses, including, without limitation, reasonable attorney's fees arising out of or relating to A. your use of the service or the use of the services by a third party using your credentials, whether authorized or not, and B. your breach of these terms. This indemnity shall survive any termination or cancellation of these terms. 8. Third-party services. In using the services, you may view content or services provided by third-party services, including links to web pages and services of such parties. By using third-party services, you agree to the terms and conditions of the respective third-party service. We are not responsible or liable for any loss or damage of any sort included as a result of your use of a third-party service. Use of the TON blockchain is at your own risk. We do not make, and we hereby disclaim, any warranty or representation with respect to the completeness, security, reliability, quality, accuracy, availability, merchantability, fitness for a particular use, or non-infringement of the TON blockchain. 9. Taxes. You are responsible for determining what, if any, taxes apply to your use of the services or grams. We are not responsible for determining whether taxes apply to any transactions you make using the services or for collecting, reporting, withholding, or remitting any taxes arising from any virtual currency transactions. 10. Miscellaneous. If any provision of these terms is found to be invalid, unlawful, void, or for any reason unenforceable, then that provision shall be deemed serviceable from these terms, or severable from these terms, and shall not affect the validity or enforceability of any remaining provisions. These terms and the privacy policy represent the entire agreement between you and us relating to your right to access and to use the services and supersede any and all prior agreements and understandings, written or oral, between you and us respect to such subject matter, or with respect to such subject matter. No waiver by us of any breach or default by you under these terms shall be deemed to be a waiver of any preceding or subsequent breach or default. Any waiver by us must be in writing signed by us. These terms shall be binding on your successors, heirs, and assigns. You may not assign or transfer any of your rights or obligations under these terms without our prior written consent, which may be withheld in our sole discretion. We may assign rights or delegate duties under these terms with our sole discretion, noting in these terms, or nothing in these terms is intended to, nor shall create any partnership, joint venture, agency, consultancy, or trustship. You and we are independent contractors for purposes of these terms. Terms shall be governed by and construed under the pursuant to the laws of England and Wales. Any dispute arising out of, or in connection with this contract by arbitration under the LCIA rules, which rules are deemed to be incorporated by reference into this clause. A number of arbitrators shall be, the number of arbitrators shall be 3. The seat or legal place of the arbitration shall be London, United Kingdom. The language to be used in the arbitral proceedings shall be English. Yeah. So this is basically a big instruction saying don't use the grams wallet. Use something else to hold your grams, because we're going to try to hold you to laws of taxation and shit like that you wouldn't be subject to if you were simply using a regular old wallet that is able to host gram tokens. I swear. It's very sad to me that that we're seeing that kind of disclaimer in here. Although I will say that I don't believe a lot of people will actually try and factor any kind of taxation. Some may, but yeah, I doubt it. But what I was most interested in is who exactly is doing their shit. Let's see, they're doing NT Proto Mobile Protocol. I'm trying to find out who does their network. Who is the Ton Network? Like, you know, is it like something that you're mining with a little app on your phone without knowing it, or on your desktop without knowing it, or, you know, that's the kind of thing I would want to know. Let's see here. How do I make money? Alright. So anyway, on to taxation. This to me is hilarious. You know, we're talking about cryptocurrencies, which are global and permissionless. We do not need the involvement of any government organization or necessarily additional corporate organization in order to utilize cryptocurrencies to purchase things with. And so, you know, this all started with people in their dormitories, their fucking garages, their closets. That's where all this shit started. And all of a sudden the IRS, you know, people are making money on it. So the IRS just says, oh, hey, we got to come along here and get some of that money. Give us some of that money. We deserve some of that money. No, you don't deserve shit. You people fucked up, and that's why cryptocurrencies exist. You don't do anything to maintain them. You don't do anything to keep shit going. This is all like a civilian or the people that are doing this shit. And even if you were mining, you would only be accountable for the mining that you're actually doing. You know, the rest of us would be free to do whatever we want. Anyway, continuing on. The IRS will now ask you if you own crypto in the most widely used U.S. tax form. You don't necessarily have to tell them. This is on Coindesk.com. This is by Anna Bedakova. So no penis. October 11th, 2019 at 1700 UTC. The Internal Revenue Service has updated the main form individual U.S. taxpayers pay or use to report their income taxes, or their income, to include a question about cryptocurrencies. Following the release earlier this week of the IRS's long-awaited guidance for reporting crypto-related income, the IRS on Friday circulated a draft of the new 1040 Schedule 1, Additional Income and Adjustments to Income. The draft was shared in an email to tax software companies, which the agency also shared with journalists. The sheet, prefaced by a warning that it's only a draft and not an actual document for filing taxes, as said at the top, quote, at any time during 2019 did you receive, sell, send, exchange, or otherwise acquire any financial interest in any virtual currency? No. The main parts of the form, additional income and adjustments to income, both appear below the question. Taxpayers who filed Schedule 1 to report income or adjustments to income that can't be entered directly in Form 1040 should check the appropriate box to answer the virtual currency question. Taxpayers do not need to file Schedule 1 if their answer to the question is no, and they do not have to file Schedule 1 for any other purpose, the IRS said. The IRS asked its software partners to send comments on the new form in the next 30 days. The guidance released this week was the agency's second ever given on virtual currencies, following 5 years of silence on the matter. The document provided answers to long-standing questions addressing such issues as crypto received as the result of a hard fork, buying goods and services with virtual currencies, calculating the fair value of crypto holdings, and other matters. Yeah, I'm just going to say right now that this is not going to increase the level of compliance that's going on with cryptocurrencies. The fact of the matter is that most people use cryptocurrencies specifically to avoid taxation. And so the idea that people will self-select to report income that they don't necessarily have to report, I don't know. They may see some additional compliance. I believe it'll be relatively limited, though, as the majority of people that are involved in this space are just like, fuck the IRS. You know? I don't think that people get involved in this space with the intention of complying with governments. It's permissionless specifically for a reason. And, you know, this is one of those places where we are going to find that the entities that are compliant are going to literally lose money while everybody else is doing fine. And I'm sure they will notice. And more importantly, this is something kind of obvious to me, at least. You know, having looked at this space and read as many articles as I have regarding finance, the big boys, they're not playing by the rules. They're not reporting shit on their taxes. They're not reporting things correctly if they don't have to. And I mean, it's one of those things where it's an instinct for me here, okay, that they don't follow the rules that are given for them in legacy finance. So if you consider that as like a default position, i.e. non-compliance, if you assume that as a default position for all the big boys, then you have to come to the conclusion that they probably aren't going to be complying with these taxations and fees and whatnot because they don't have to. And now I'm sure that some of them will, only because they perceive that if enough of them do it, right? If enough of them do comply, that they're going to make it to where you have to comply. Well, the problem with that is that your next door neighbor's kid can create a cryptocurrency. And so the likelihood that this person, when they're creating a cryptocurrency, is considering the IRS implications or any regulation implication. No, they're not doing it. You know, it's just as simple to set up a cryptocurrency as it is to write any other application. If you consider every developer out there right now is basically the equivalent of Janet Yellen, the idea of regulation in the previous sense that we've had, it's it doesn't work. It doesn't fucking work. You can't really account for new coins popping up and people just moving their monetary value over to those. Yeah. So anyway, I got this thing here. It's again on CoinDesk. SEC, CFTC, FinCEN warn crypto industry to follow U.S. banking laws. No. This is by Nicholas D. It's authored October 11th, 2019 at 1700 UTC. The heads of 3 U.S. financial regulators warned the cryptocurrency industry to abide by banking laws in a joint statement published Friday. The statement, signed by Commodity Futures Trading Commission Chairman Heath Tarbert, Financial Crimes Enforcement Network FinCEN Director Kenneth Blacko, Securities and Exchange Commission Chairman Jay Clayton reminds actors in the crypto space that they must comply with various banking and financial services laws in the U.S., regardless of what they call their cryptocurrencies or tokens. Yeah, fuck yourself. The agencies referred to the Bank Secrecy Act, which outlines how different financial services businesses should register with regulators. Specifically, the agencies explained that, quote, the nature of the digital asset-related activities a person participates in will determine which agencies that person should register with, as well as which other laws they need to comply with. Yeah, go fuck yourself. Quote, for example, using something referred to as an exchange in a market for digital assets may or may not also qualify as an exchange, as that term is used under the federal securities laws, the statement reads, adding, quote, as such, regardless of the label or terminology that market participants may use or the level or type of technology employed, it is the facts and circumstances underlying the asset, activity, or service, including its economic reality and use, whether intended or organically developed or repurposed, that determines the general categorization of an asset, the specific regulatory treatment of the activity involving the asset, and whether the persons involved are, quote, financial institutions for the purposes of the BSA. Blanco, Tarbert, and Clayton define the scope of their agencies with regard to cryptocurrencies and service providers in additional comments published with the joint statement addressing Futures Commission merchants, including introducing brokers, exchanges, broker-dealers, and mutual funds as some examples. Each of the agency directors went as far as to describe which types of companies their regulatory bodies oversee. In his comments, Blacko seemingly applied the BSA to virtual currency providers, noting that his agency provided interpretive guidance in May to address money transmission denominated in value that substitutes for currency, including cryptocurrency. As, quote, as set forth in the 2019 CVC guidance, a number of digital asset-related activities qualify as a person as a MSB, money services business, that would be regulated by FinCEN, he said. FinCEN's BSA regulations also provide that any person registered with and functionally regulated or examined by the SEC or the CFTC would not be subject to the BSA obligations applicable to MSBs, but instead would be subject to the BSA obligations of such a type of regulated entity. Clayton said his agency's mandate is to protect investors, bullshit, ensure fair markets, bullshit, and aid capital formation, bullshit, which generally oversees the securities space, but added that the BSA does not provide the SEC with some other requirements. Quote, broker-dealers and mutual funds are required to implement reasonably designed AML programs and report suspicious activity. These rules are not limited in their application to activities involving digital assets that are securities under the federal securities laws, he said. Dude, I can't wait till somebody takes these assholes to court. I really can't. And it's going to happen. You know, because the fact of the matter is that what's going to happen, and I believe this is going to end up happening in New York too, is that the crypto world will continue doing what it does and become worth more and more money every year. That the market capitalization of the entire crypto market will continue to increase over time. And legacy financial institutions are going to take note of this, and they're going to say, hey, look at this. None of your regulations are stopping these guys, and you're costing us a shit ton of money, and you're not actually providing us with anything. You're not providing any protection. You can't stop my next door neighbor's kid from creating a cryptocurrency or deploying it globally. You can't stop somebody else from creating an exchanger market in fucking Bangladesh for that token. You can't do it. So just stop. Stop trying. Because all you're really doing is keeping us from being able to participate in those markets and make money in those markets. And we like making money. You know? The fact of the matter is that none of the regulatory like frameworks that are in place in the legacy markets are even doing anything to stop people. People are manipulating markets all the fucking time. There's spoofing, there's fucking wash trades, there's all that shit going on out there. And it's just like steroids. Okay, in football, right? If you were to go back to the 70s, right? And you were to get a football team from the 70s, I don't care, the ones that won the fucking Super Bowl for the 1970 Super Bowl, get that team, right? And put them on a field and line them up, right? And then line them up next to the team that won the Super Bowl last year. I guarantee you, everybody on the team that won last year is like 15 to 20% larger and more muscular than the team that won in the 1970s. I am fine with the fact that that's due to steroids. Okay? And I don't care. Okay? I just want to know like things like what the physical effects on the players were. You know, was it really worth it for them? You know, 10, 20 years later, are they getting fucking testicular cancer or brain cancer or kidney shutdown? You know, what the fuck is the long-term effect? So it's the same thing with cryptocurrencies. If it's going on in crypto, I'll be able to see it on the public blockchain for that cryptocurrency. And that's about all I really need to know. You know, especially if I'm wanting to verify the funds of the persons that I'm doing business with, they'll provide me with a public address that I'll be able to look up on the blockchain. And oh yeah, they've got the funds. They've got the $300 in Ethereum in that wallet. It's just waiting for us. Okay, I'm going to send them the product, and then they're going to send me the funds, and then that's it. You can even set it up on a smart contract to where when I send the shit, the fucking transaction goes through or gets submitted for inclusion in a block. And I'll be able to watch it until it actually confirms. I don't need a regulatory entity to do that for me. And so what's the likelihood that I'm going to involve the IRS, the CFTC, the FDIC, FinCEN, any other fucking SEC? No, I'm not going to do it. Specifically because their participation isn't required and will only cost me and my business partners money. And it's probably an added incentive to do business with me that I don't report the shit. Because then they don't have to worry about accounting for it. And they don't have to worry about the costs that are associated with documenting it and keeping track of it and all that shit. And for some people, I think that'll be a liability. But for the most part, I think that we're going to find that that's not actually profitable enough to bother with. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw back down into some music. And, yeah, you know, when I think about regulation of cryptocurrencies, this is the song that comes to mind. Death Angel, Bored, here on Coin Metal. And that was Anthrax with Misery Loves Company. Yeah, and so as far as what we're going to get into next, I think this is a little kind of canary in the coal mine kind of thing, where certain entities are looking at the regulatory landscape as it's maturing, and they're saying to themselves, is this actually going to be a profitable venture for us to get into? They're having to reevaluate shit, right? So I got this thing here. It's on Coindesk.com. Visa, Mastercard, eBay, Stripe follow PayPal in quitting Facebook's Libra project. This is by Nicholas D. and Brady Dale, so double penis. It was authored October 11th, 2019 at 1958 UTC. And let's see here. And update on October 11th, 2009 at 8:27 UTC. Mastercard and Visa have also confirmed they will not be joining the Libra Association. And also another update on October 11th, 2019 at 22:57 UTC. Payments platform Mercado Pago confirmed to Coindesk that it would too suspend its participation in the Libra Association. Mastercard, Visa, digital auction company eBay, payments firm Stripe, and Mercado Pago have all pulled out of the Facebook-led Libra Association. The Financial Times reported Friday that eBay and Stripe dropped out of the Libra cryptocurrency project, citing political pressure following PayPal, which pulled its own support of the project earlier this week. A Mastercard spokesperson confirmed to Coindesk that the company will be withdrawing as well. In a statement, the Mastercard spokesperson said, quote, Mastercard has decided it will not become a member of the Libra Association at this time. We remain focused on our strategy and our own significant efforts to enable financial inclusion around the world. We believe there are potential benefits in such initiatives and will continue to monitor the Libra effort. Likewise, a Visa spokesperson told Coindesk, quote, Visa has decided not to join the Libra Association at this time. We will continue to evaluate, and our ultimate decision will be determined by a number of factors, including the association's ability to fully satisfy all requisite regulatory expectations. Visa's continued interest in Libra stems from our belief that well-regulated blockchain-based networks could extend the value of secure digital payments to a greater number of people and places, particularly in emerging and developing markets. An eBay spokesperson told the FT that while the company respects the Libra Association's vision, it was instead choosing to focus on releasing, quote, managed payments experience for its customers. A Stripe spokesperson confirmed their company's withdrawal as well, saying, quote, Stripe is supportive of projects that aim to make online commerce more accessible for people around the world. Libra has this potential. We will follow its progress closely and remain open to working with the Libra Association at a later stage. A spokesperson for Mercado Pago said the company will reevaluate Libra after there is, quote, greater clarity around the project. The Libra Association is scheduled to have its first official meeting next week, where the remaining 23 members, which include Facebook and its subsidiary Calibra, are supposed to sign the group's charter. A Facebook spokesperson confirmed Friday that the meeting is still taking place as planned. While the original 28 members of the Libra Association were revealed with the cryptocurrency project's initial announcement, the members only signed non-binding letters of intent. Nonprofits Kiva, Mercy Corps, venture firm Andreessen Horowitz, A16Z, crypto custodian Anchorage, and wallet provider Zappo all confirmed to Coindesk Friday their intent to stay in the Libra Association. Regulatory pushback. Facebook unveiled its vision for Libra in June 2019, announcing an ambitious project aimed at providing banking services to more than 1 billion individuals who currently lack access. However, the project saw immediate pushback from lawmakers worldwide, with German and French officials vowing to block its launch, and U.S. Representative Maxine Waters calling for a moratorium on the development until the project's regulatory hurdles are cleared. Most recently, U.S. Senators Brian Schatz and Sherrod Brown wrote identical letters to Stripe, Visa, and Mastercard warning of chilling effects Libra could have on the global financial system, and hinting that participating in the project may result in increased regulatory scrutiny of their own businesses. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg is scheduled to testify before the House Financial Services Committee, which Representative Waters chairs, later this month. Let's check what this letters of intent shit is to Stripe and all that. Let's see here. I want to see if I can find an actual link to the letter. Yeah, why not? So, here is the political arm that was put on the shoulder of those entities. And this is by the United States Senate, Washington, D.C., October 8th, 2019. Dear Mr. Collison, we write to share our deep concerns about Facebook's Libra cryptocurrency project and the formation of the Libra Association. We are concerned because key questions remain unanswered about the risks the project poses to consumers, regulated financial institutions, and the global financial system. We urge you to carefully consider how your companies will manage these risks before proceeding, given that Facebook has not yet demonstrated to Congress, financial regulators, and perhaps not even to your companies that it is taking these risks seriously. It shouldn't. Public reporting suggests that potential Libra Association member companies have struggled to get sufficient details from Facebook about the management of the significant risks that Libra may pose. Even though Facebook is the driving force behind Libra and offers the largest user base for the new cryptocurrency, the company has not yet provided a clear plan for how it will prevent Libra from facilitating criminal and terrorist financing, destabilizing global financial systems, interfering with monetary policies, or exposing customers to risks currently limited to accredited investors. In fact, in response to questions from Congress about the potential risks posed by Libra, Facebook deflects the responsibility of addressing these risks onto potential Libra Association members, such as your companies, as well as other participants in the payments ecosystem. Facebook is currently struggling to tackle massive issues such as privacy violations, disinformation, election interference, discrimination, and fraud, and it has not demonstrated an ability to bring those failures under control. You should be concerned that any weaknesses in Facebook's risk management systems will become weaknesses in your systems that you may not be able to effectively mitigate. These risks are not hypothetical. The New York Times recently reported a proliferation of online child sexual abuse, due in large part to tech platforms like Facebook. In fact, 12 million of the 18.4 million reports of child sexual abuse photos and videos around the world last year were attributed to Facebook Messenger. It is chilling to think what could happen if Facebook combines encrypted messaging with embedding anonymous global payments via Libra. Your companies should be extremely cautious about moving ahead with a project that will foreseeably fuel the growth in global criminal activity. Facebook appears to want the benefits of engaging in financial activities without the responsibility of being regulated as a financial services company. Facebook is attempting to accomplish that objective by shifting the risks and the need to design new compliance regimes onto regulated members of the Libra Association like your companies. If you take this on, you can expect a high level of scrutiny from regulators, not only on Libra-related payment systems, but on all payment activities. We urge you to proceed with caution until Facebook is able to provide real answers to you, Congress, and financial regulators about how it will manage the various significant risks posed by Libra. We also urge you to consider Facebook's inability to manage current risks from its core business lines when making a decision about whether to proceed with Libra. Sincerely, Brian Schatz and Sherrod Brown. Dude, is it me? I'm getting like some psychological shit here, like subliminal shit. Brian Schatz, Sherrod Brown. I mean, like, really, if you wanted to pick two people to dump on somebody some shit, that's who it would be, right? Schatz and Brown, Brown Schatz. Come on, give me a fucking break. Look, the issues here. Oh, wait a minute. This is page 2 of 6. Oh, and they sent the same thing to various entities. Thankfully, I don't have to read it more than once because it was the same thing. So, anyway, what they're basically saying is that, you know, all of that money laundering activity and all of that front running that you're doing on the stock markets and shit like that, you know, all of that stuff, if you get involved in Libra, we're going to investigate you and we'll probably discover that stuff and then we will throw the hammer at you. Now, in my mind, this is a completely hollow threat and these people should completely disregard it. Because the fact of the matter is if it is successful as a cryptocurrency issuer and servicer and provider and retailer and commerce entity and all that other shit, if Facebook can pull that off, they're going to have potentially up to 3 billion users that will be using their shit. That's almost as many people as use the US dollar, if not more. Personally, I do not care what the impact is on the financial system. I do not care about the impact on the financial regulators, and I'll tell you why. Because they are competing not only with existing fiat currencies that people have plenty of confidence in, but they are also competing with live open cryptocurrencies that are in no association with them, and as a matter of fact, their shit is already supposedly going to get forked the moment it launches. So, I mean, that shows you how much control they actually have over the Libra project. The idea that some Senate regulatory entity is going to be able to regulate Libra is fucking obscene. It's fucking ludicrous. I mean, what are they going to do? They're going to crawl on Facebook servers? And no, they're not going to do any of that. As a matter of fact, they're just going to be looking for kickbacks from it. Now, I think that we are going to see where more and more and more of the global economy moves out of their grasp and is interfaced in cryptocurrencies in ways that they cannot seize upon it. And it is specifically because of this ever-growing desire by them to regulate and tax every single bit of monetary activity on this planet. So far, that has failed to produce any results that tell me that it's actually worth it. I'm dead serious about that. The IRS's database has been compromised. The SEC has been compromised. I think the CFTC has been compromised. And when I say compromised, I mean they got their shit hacked. You know, the head of the CIA, his personal email got hacked. Jack Dorsey's Twitter account got hacked. This is the world you're living in right now, and these people think that they're going to be able to write your shit down and put a piece of paper, and it's going to make everything work, and you're going to fucking comply with that shit. No. There's some 17-year-old that's creating some shit right now that he intends to distribute at some point in the future. And it will create such a kerfuffle with something, whether it be AWS or Capital One again, or Facebook itself, or maybe even Twitter, Bitcoin, something. And it's going to throw a big-ass monkey wrench in this idea that you're going to be establishing castles on foundations built on quicksand. It's not going to fucking happen. We're going to learn. Within the next 2 years, I predict we are going to learn this fucking axiom that if it is not collected, it cannot be compromised. We're going to learn this one. That all that precious information, all that precious data that entities such as Facebook and Twitter and even the IRS are demanding of us and recording about us, that shit's going to get compromised. It's going to prove to be dangerous enough to us on an individual level, whether it's the seizure of our digital identities or some other shit, that people are going to take a look at it and they're going to say, you know what, total information awareness, really not such a good idea. Not such a good idea at all. That it's not actually servicing us. It's not providing any real value. I mean, if none of it makes people spend more money, it's not worth it. But I think that we're going to find after that it was never needed. That we didn't the value that it did provide to what limited entities it did provide any kind of value to, that it wasn't even worth it to them. But it's funny that we should be talking about regulation and taxation and all that other shit, although we do talk about that on this show quite a bit. I'm affiliated a little bit with Verge Currency. That's specifically a privacy-related cryptocurrency. And when I say privacy-related, I mean, that people can't tell it's you that's transacting with it. And, I foresaw the need for such a thing a long time ago. As soon as FinCEN piped up and said what they said, and I think that was like in, I want to say 2013, 2014, I'm like, we're going to need cryptocurrencies that are entirely private, that are formed in such a way that it's just impossible to track or tax. That we're going to need such a thing, and we did see exactly that pop up. And I want to say it was like 2014, 2015. People started making privacy coins. And so, it's like that. That's how far ahead of the fold a lot of people are in this space. Anyway, continuing on, this is on Coindesk.com. At DevCon, Bitcoin developer Amir Taki foresees a, quote, dark tech renaissance. And this is by Christine Kim. It was authored October 11th, 2019 at 1635 UTC, updated 1658 UTC. So no penis. Nobody in the cryptocurrency space is thinking big enough. That was the message from Bitcoin developer and former Kurdish YPG militia member Amir Taki at DevCon 5, the annual Ethereum developer conference hosted this year in Osaka, Japan. Quote, I hear people talking about decentralized derivatives and mortgages, Taki said to an enraptured audience of hundreds on Friday. Quote, why are we not thinking about how to create dark finance tools we can leverage against government bonds? Quote, we can crash national economies, he said, noting, quote, you see the crypto nouveau riche buying yachts and Lambos, but no one is thinking about what we can do on a big scale. Speak for yourself, dude. For Taki, who spent 2015 to 2018 in war-torn Syria fighting terrorist group ISIS, deploying cryptocurrencies on a national and even international scale has been top of mind. Quote, In Syria, I was in charge of technology projects for a region of about 5 million people. This was a great opportunity to deploy crypto on a massive scale, but most people weren't interested, Taki said. Taki recounted approaching both Ethereum creator Vitalik Buterin and Parity Technologies founder Gavin Wood for financial support. Buterin's response to Taki's request of a $25,000 donation to fund his Syrian initiatives was ambiguous. According to Taki said Wood suggested he apply for funding through an official grants program. Viewing the grants process as cumbersome and bureaucratic, Taki seemed to take personal offense at the responses and called out the two on the DevCon stage for having, quote, low social intelligence. Both Buterin and Wood were contacted to confirm this story, though neither has responded as of press time. We will update the piece if we hear back. Quote, it's hard to get donations from people to support something that's strategically important to cryptocurrencies as a whole, Taki said, adding, quote, it's a problem that everything now is built off of personality and celebrity culture. This is going to destroy our effectiveness as a movement. Moving beyond the tech. Taki's words resonated with many at the conference. Quote, I think he tries to keep the dream real, said Santiago Siri, founder of Democracy Earth, a Y Combinator-backed nonprofit building digital governance technology. Quote, I'm legitimately inspired by the values he stands for in this industry. Echoing that sentiment, Ann Brody, a PhD student studying Ethereum at McGill University, tweeted, quote, we need philosophical education to build a new system to serve the greater good via blockchain. We need to reinvent the hacker image. Thank you, Amir. Yeah, whatever. To Siri, the biggest takeaway from Taki's talk was the need to refocus on how to become a superpower. That is, how to advance cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology into becoming a force worth reckoning with. It already is that. Quote, it can really be a rival to the internet in our civilization, Siri told CoinDesk in an interview following Taki's talk. It's clearly not just a cultural change. It can be a profound institutional change to our political order. New leaders. But to do this, the industry needs to embrace its political side, according to Siri, and think more globally. Siri highlighted initiatives such as the recently announced 1 Million Devs project as a welcome step in the right direction. Wrong. Announced at DevCon by Ethereum co-founder Joseph Lubin, who also heads Ethereum venture studio Consensus. The 1 Million Devs project seeks to educate traditional web developers about the promise of blockchain technology. Education, Taki agrees, is key. Quote, it can't just be education about the technology, but it also has to be a philosophical education, Taki said, noting, quote, there needs to be a change on a big scale for cryptocurrency to realize its big potential. We have to train not just hackers, but leaders. Yeah, it's too late for that, dude. You know, I think that, Taki, he embodies a lot of the spirit that started cryptocurrencies, but I think that he misses short on this. Is that, a lot of these people, they talk about, all about like the technology itself and what it's meant for and what it should do and all that other shit, but they don't talk about your involvement in it. They talk about it in terms of something that they direct you to do. And when it comes to a question of your hardware, your software, your bandwidth and your electricity and your time and effort, that's up to you to decide how to devote. So these people, again, they want to establish empires on fucking quicksand. Fucking quicksand. You can't do it. Try it sometime. Shit's gonna collapse. So yeah, I think that people keep forgetting the social aspect of cryptocurrencies. It's not enough to just value them. It's enough to participate in them. Then you know what the value is. And we will continue to butt our heads up against this particular wall until we have absolutely no choice. And I believe that time is coming. You know, this whole rallying cry to try and tax and regulate cryptocurrencies, it's not going to end. And we have seen the entire span of action happen in Venezuela. Venezuela has been like a test bed where we have seen the full realm of expression of human interaction with cryptocurrencies, government, regulation, taxation. It has all happened within Venezuela already. And we have seen the failure of all of them. You know, first, there was the ban. That failed. They have relatively free electricity, so people kept mining. So they decided to, by implication, not actually explicitly stating it, they kind of banned mining. So any of the really big miners, they went after them. They went to their houses because their electricity demand was a lot higher than anybody else's. And so they went to those guys' houses and they seized their gear. They didn't really fine them. They didn't jail them or anything like that. They just seized their gear. But then what happened? The cops that went to the house and seized the hardware, they took that shit home and they set it up in their own homes. And so the miners figured out, okay, we can't mine Bitcoin because to do so and make a shit ton of money still, we're going to increase our electricity demand enough for them to notice us. They come to our house, they just gank our gear. We're not going to do that anymore. We're going to mine altcoins instead. And that's exactly what they did. They mined fucking altcoins with CPUs, GPUs, anything they can land their hands on. And they still do that to this day. All it did was it's like there's this bright spark, and the regulators come along, the state comes along with the hands, and they close trying to capture that spark and trying to keep it just for themselves, right? But it's like sand. The shit just falls through their hands and becomes a million tinier sparks. And they can't grip on any one of them, and so they're looking for points where they can grab onto the most of them. And so again, I think that's the process, the way that we're going to see the full span of it. Oh, and I didn't even finish. The government's next gamut was to try and create their own cryptocurrency. And they said all kinds of things about it, like the public's going to mine it, and we're going to educate people on how to use it. And it fell apart and fell to shit. It didn't fucking work. Instead, what started happening again is people were doing their everyday shopping with altcoins, where they are partnering up with people in other countries and ordering shit through Amazon to be received by them and then either sent to them within their country, or they go and get it and give them cryptocurrency in exchange for it. Completely unregulated, completely untaxed, and totally fucking worth it. We are going to see the same thing happen pretty much everywhere else. I don't think it'll get that far with regard to China or Russia, probably not even India. Here in the United States, it's going to be interesting because we have multiple different pressures here. Okay, there's money to be made on mining gear, there's money to be made in mining, there's money to be made in trading. There's money to be made in commerce, in retail, and all that other shit, right? However, all of these things have little regulatory frameworks that are already set up, but those are basically structured according to fiat currencies. And so they don't really interface as well with cryptocurrencies. And that's fine. It's going to be that way pretty much in perpetuity. Because again, As soon as the government seizes on one big spark, it's going to become diffuse into a million smaller sparks that they cannot grab onto. You know, we're 10 years into this, and by all accounts, less than 5% of all people involved in cryptocurrencies report their shit. And that's including like Goldman Sachs and all those other guys. They are probably like the 5 or 10. I think it's like 5 or 10%. Not really all that many people by comparison to the number that are actually involved in it. And you can kind of tell this, you know, that the IRS, that was just a draft. It wasn't even an actual, like, this is the fucking taxation form and you will fill it out under penalty of death or whatever. So, you know, it shows you about how serious they really are about this. You know, that number one, there's not really enough money involved in this space to pay attention to. And number two, their inability to enforce their mandates. If they were more capable of enforcing their mandates, they would be enforcing their mandates at those points. We've seen it in like with people in like local Bitcoins where they've met up with people and then they get busted and all that other shit, right? Well, I think again we're going to see that diffusion happen where, you know, the government will try and get more serious, and where I think it's going to impact things most is going to be in mining, where the next step for the U.S. government is that they are going to try and target mining. And this is, again, it's going to make it more affordable and more profitable for the average person to mine, because they're not going to be going after the average person. They're going to be going after the fucking hash farm in Minnesota. And trying to hit them with some additional hit, you know. Well, eventually they will consume the profit margin of those miners. Or they'll inflate the value of cryptocurrency because they're asking so much in taxation, the miners have no choice but to inflate the price of the Bitcoin that they sell to the market. And that'll, of course, make people really fucking rich. Anyway, let's go ahead and throw back down into some music. Kind of running out of steam on that thought. Need a little more caffeine in the system. And, yeah, a little bit of Cavalier Conspiracy inflicted here on Coin Metal. And that was Exodus with Low Rider. And it is with that I'd like to close out this episode. Thank you very much for listening. I certainly do appreciate the support. We will be back again on Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And so until then, I want y'all to trade safe. Do your homework. And watch out for your own bunghole, because nobody else can do it for you. And as far as our last dance is concerned, I haven't picked one out yet, so it's kind of a usual thing, right? And I think we're gonna go with a little bit of Doyle, Abominator. Yeah, this weekend I'm gonna get to see Clutch. Cannot wait. Hopefully I'll be able to post a video associated with the event on my YouTube channel, so keep an eye out for that. And so here it is, our last dance, Doyle, Abominator. Thank you again for listening, and you all have an excellent evening. Good night.